Hey, Mason, do you know what time it is?
Hey, it's coffee time.
Yes, obviously. It's also time to start giving out hints as to what we'd like to get this holiday season.
Oh man, you're right. You know, if I don't tell people what I want, who knows what they're going to find.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't need any more camera lens coffee cups.
Oh, yeah, and I'm all set for I Shoot Raw t-shirts.
So, you're a gadget geek. How about we talk about the photo gear any good photo girls and boys would love to find under the tree this year?
Oh boy, I get to talk about gear.
You never talk about gear. You know what? Let's photocombobulate this.
Buying presents for us photographers is pretty tricky business.
We're here to help you make that list and check it twice.
Because getting gear you'll actually use is really, really nice.
This is Photocombobulate, and I'm Jeff Carlson.
And I'm Santa. No,
No.
I'm Mason Marsh. You know, I don't know about you, Jeff, but this time of year is always kind of difficult for me because people come to me, my parents, my loved ones, they come to me and they say, you know what? We need to know what you want for Christmas, and we're not going to buy you a lens. So don't ask. And I always have this trouble because, you know, I would love to have new lenses, but when you're talking about lenses like this one, this 50 millimeter, which I just adore, this is a huge investment. And I don't expect any of my loved ones to drop that kind of coin for my holiday gifts.
Yeah.
And so we end up looking at the lower end stuff, the little gadgets, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also, you know, I've tried the trick of, well, maybe you can just give me money that I could put towards a lens. And they're all like, no, we're not just going to shovel cash at you. You know, like, it's just not a real gifty thing to do. I mean, you know, it's always appreciated, but I don't know. So we start to think about little gadgety things, but I don't know about you. I was actually a little trepidatious getting into this topic when you brought this up, because there have been so many, you know, photographer gift guides over the years, and a lot of it is trying to hit a price point, a little, you know, like accessory price point, something that your friends and family can give you, but I don't know, a lot of it's crap. I mean, there's just so much crap out there, like the camera lens coffee mugs. And I don't, you know, blame anybody who's given me those, but it was a neat idea, and photographers, we just tend to keep getting them. So that's not really a whole lot of fun.
It's not. And it's, I feel bad for people because it would be like me trying to buy a gift for a musician friend. You know, I'd be like, well, I don't know what you need. I don't know what you have. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you need. I could make a guess, and then you just laugh at what I get you. And so in the holiday spirit, which, you know, and the kindness and the love that goes into this gift buying experience, I think it's on us as photographers to tell our loved ones, to help them make a list of things that we could actually use so they don't end up going out and buying stuff that nobody really needs.
Yeah.
Because you're right, Jeff, there's a lot of garbage out there. And I've bought a lot of garbage over the years. And I've given away a lot of garbage. I've thrown away a lot of garbage that I bought that I wish I could get that money back. And so we're here today to talk about things that aren't going to break the bank, but that photographers really could use. Now, we were talking before we started recording. One of the challenges with this is if it's not a hugely expensive item, as soon as I realize I want it, I usually end up just going out and buying it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty spoiled that way. So for me, it's really hard. This is a really hard time here to come up with a list of stuff that I don't already have.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to help people build up a list, and we've got a lot of stuff kind of scattered across our desks, and we're going to show them.
We've got a lot of stuff that we already have.
Yes, stuff that we already have. So we don't want this stuff, right?
We've got it already.
Let's go back.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. So Jeff, we have accumulated a lot of stuff, and we're going to share the things that I actually use, the stuff that I really, really have come to appreciate. And if it turns out folks who are listening and watching, if it's not on your list, put it on your list. This is stuff that we use. This is stuff that we love. And so I've got some things arrayed on my desk. You've got some things that we're going to share. Don't worry about taking notes. We're going to have all of these things in the show notes. And so we'll have full descriptions and all this. This set of show notes can be pretty long. So we'll have all of this stuff. But know that everything we're going to share today is truly useful, truly good stuff, and none of it is going to break the bank.
Exactly. I will also point out, just for trivia, and so we can put it in the show notes, you and I wrote an article a couple of years ago for DP Review. We did a gift guide for them, but it was very intentionally really bad gift ideas for photographers. So go check it out. I think we were just reacting to so many gift guides being coming out, and we wanted to do something different. And our editor at the time loved the idea. So don't actually buy any of those things, but go check out the article. We'll put it in the notes.
And maybe if we have time on this episode, we can actually mention some things that we definitely wouldn't want on our Christmas
that's a good
list,
idea.
right? And so if we have some time at the end, let's throw in 2 or 3 things that we wouldn't want. We don't have anything to show because those things I've gotten rid of, right?
Right.
The garbage items are gone. I passed them along.
Right.
So do you want to start or?
Actually, before we start, one last thing. Just as a reminder, we do a video version of this. It's a lightly edited video version. And so we're going to be holding up things. If you are thinking to yourself, wow, that sounds good, but I have no sense of whether it's really large or if it's handheld or whatever, go skim through the video and you'll be able to see what we're talking about for most of these things.
Sounds great. Yeah, definitely.
Right. So,
do you want to start small and go big, or how do you want to do this, Jeff?
I'm going to be completely random because
great.
Some of the things that I have here are just things that I use every day. There are some things that I found useful on our recent trip, and I think it's now a requirement that we have to mention our big trip on every episode now because it was such a good trip. So I'm going to start off with something that doesn't really have to do with photography per se, but can be very helpful for photographers. So what I have here is a little USB battery bank. However, it's not just a USB battery bank. It also has a light on it, but that's not the feature. The feature about this is that, sorry, it was bright. I just turned on the light and fried my camera, so never mind. So this is actually a hand warmer.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
They have little USB-powered hand warmers. And it totally makes sense because you get these little USB charging battery banks, and they tend to get warm anyway. And I think somebody said, well, what if we took off the protective shielding and just let it run hot? I'm sure that's not how it works. But
It'd be great if it was, though.
It would be great if it was. Because there are times when you're a photographer, you are out in the cold. When we were at the bristlecone pine forest, my hands got really freezing. And so I had a couple of these. I put one in each pocket. And while my camera was doing a 30-second exposure, I could just put my hands in my pockets and warm up my hands a little bit. They aren't very expensive. They're like $20 or $30. This is an old one that I'm holding up. I don't even know if it has Human Creations is the company. But these are also the types of things that you can recharge. So it gives you a light. It gives you a way to recharge your phone if you need to. There's a USB-A port on it. I think some of them probably have a USB-C port, which would be nice. And you don't have to stock up on a whole bunch of those disposable hand warmers, which are also good, but they're disposable and they just get thrown away. And this is nice and reusable.
That is really cool. In fact, that's going to go on my list. So there's one thing I could put on my list because I was jealous of you having those on the trip. And I thought, wow, that's just brilliant to have something that has more than one use. Is always a great thing to have especially if you're a traveling photographer and space is kind of critical. So having something that can double as a battery bank for your camera or for your iPhone or whatever, but also be a hand warmer. That's brilliant. I'm glad you shared that. So I'm going to share a little thing. This is something, this is actually a company out of Seattle. They're called Hero Clip, and it's a carabiner. Looks just like a normal carabiner kind of, except this particular kind. This is the large version. They have come in all different sizes. If you open it up, it has a hook that deploys, and it's got a swivel on it. And what I use these for is if I have to hang my camera bag up, I don't want to lay it on the ground. Maybe it's muddy. So maybe I want to hang it on my tripod or on a bench or a branch or anything like that. A lot of times I'll be somewhere where there's like a railing and I can hang this on there. And it's got a little rubber nib and it's very cleverly designed and they come in lots of different cool colors. But this is called the Hero Clip. Not very expensive, so it's kind of a stocking stuffer level gift. I think you can also get them in sets, so if you want to go crazy and get somebody with sets of these. But this is something I always have in my camera bag, and I just love it. It's a very clever invention and a small company that I like to support. So Hero Clip, number 1.
Nice, nice. About how expensive is it?
I think the large ones are about $20-$25, and then they go down.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Yeah, in fact, before we started recording this, my wife was like, all right, well, make sure that I know some things that I can possibly get you. So
I'll email her that.
Awesome. Okay, so the next thing that I have is a little bit more expensive, but for what it is, it's not that expensive. And it is a portable SSD.
Yep.
So a solid state drive. Now, these are things that in the past, I don't know, I've gone through so many little portable hard drives so that I can offload pictures when I'm traveling. And it's always been just enough of a hassle that maybe I don't always do it, right? So a portable SSDs, it's solid state memory. It's very, very fast. And they connect via USB-C, so also very fast. And there are a number of different ones. Like one here I have here is a Samsung T5, which is an older model. Now I think there's a Samsung T7, which is the more recent one. And it gets like right around, I want to say 1,000 megabits per second.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's megabits, megabytes. Anyway, it's basically fast enough that you can run your computer from it if you have a boot thing. When I'm shooting video and editing video, I put all the video on the SSD, so I'm not completely filling up my internal hard drive. And there's no issues with performance there. SanDisk also has a model. This is the SanDisk Extreme Pro Portable SSD, and it's got like a little clip or a little notch.
You could hook a Hero Clip to that.
You could hook a Hero Clip to it, exactly.
Not sure why you would, but
and surprisingly, for SSDs, these are not that expensive anymore. They used to be. So I think you can get 500 gigs or maybe even a terabyte for under $100 now, which is completely useful.
Yeah, the one I've got is a little G-Tech one, which I think is technologically it's identical to the not the Samsung, but the SanDisk. God, this would be S's.
Yeah.
But this is a 1 terabyte little one, and I actually found this on Amazon Warehouse. That's a great place to look for stuff like this.
Yes.
For like $70, and it's a 1 terabyte little SSD, and it's pretty fast. And it plugs, it's USB-C, so I actually can use it with my iPad Pro.
Oh, yeah.
And so if I want to back up in the field, I can offload my photos from my cards onto the iPad Pro, and I can make a duplicate backup to this. And then I keep this in my camera bag. So if I lose my iPad, God forbid, I have my backup with me. And they're so tiny. I love it. Yeah. Great tip.
Very tiny, shock absorbent. Like you just don't have to worry about all the things that you used to with old spinning hard drives.
And they're bus powered. This is important to remember. You don't need any special adapters or power cords or anything for it. They're powered by the cord that connects them to the device. So
yep,
Awesome.
excellent. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good. I've got a fun one. I ran into a guy early this summer when I was traveling with my family. We were in the Tetons, and I met a photographer named Frank Ruggles, who unfortunately passed away like 2 weeks after I met him.
Oh, yeah.
But he was retracing Ansel Adams' steps and had the same camera that Ansel Adams used and shot the same film that Ansel Adams used and was going to the same places and saying, here's what it looks like now, years, decades later in the same place. And he's going through all the national parks. So I saw him in the Tetons, really enjoyed this guy. One of the things he was doing was he was taking meticulous notes. And he said that one of the problems with following Ansel Adams is Ansel Adams kept horrible notes. He didn't hardly write anything down. And I write down a lot of things. I'm getting older, and so I like to write stuff down. It's not that I forget stuff. It just helps me stay organized. And I've really fallen in love with these little field notes notebooks. And I've got one in my camera bag. I carry one. I always have one on my desk. Anytime I want to remember something or keep a list or something like that, or to-do list, I just throw it in here, and I fill these up fairly fast. Now, what I've found with these, because they're small and pocketable, and so convenient, is if I just sort of tuck them in here and there and have them around, I'll always have one handy. And I actually, they're not super cheap. You can go buy a plain white paper notebook somewhere really cheap. But I love these because there's a place inside to write your name. They're just clever, and the covers are always fun. And I'm a design guy. I like things that are designed well, and so I love the way they design these. And I actually ended up subscribing. They'd have a subscription service. So if you're looking for a gift for somebody that's going to keep on giving all year, you can pay for a year subscription, and they put out quarterly editions, special editions every quarter. And so whoever you buy this for would get a package 4 times a year that has special notebooks, and they get several in each package. So it actually turns out to be cheaper than buying them individually. But because it's a subscription, it's also sort of a surprise. These packages just sort of pop up, and each one's different. So field notes, really cool. I really like these little things.
Nice.
Putting this one back on my stack of field note books right here.
You can write your name in any notebook.
Yes.
It doesn't have to say name and then have a little underline thing. But I get it.
You get it.
Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to bring up is something that I probably should have found the webpage for earlier so that I could tell you exactly how much it costs. But, that's how these things work. So one of the things that we mentioned when I was talking about our last trip is that I had a fun little experience of having my brand new iPhone 13 Pro fall off the tripod, land on the ground, face first into a granite rock, and broke my screen after a single week. Mm-hmm. I'm not still bitter about that. No, I'm not shaking my fist at the universe. However, and so my problem there was that I have a Peak Design tripod, and I love the Peak Design tripod, and it has this very clever little iPhone mount that sticks in the shaft, and you pull it out and you can use that. Well, it turns out that when you're trying to shoot the stars and you angle the tripod head way back, it just doesn't have any grip to it to hold the phone, and so the phone fell out. So that's bad. Now I've told my sad story. So here's the good part. The other part is, I know that you're, anyway. Okay. So the good news is I also have another iPhone accessory that I should have been using at the time, and I didn't because I was trying to be quick and hurry. It's called the Glyph, Glif. And it's made by this little company called Studio Neat. It's $28. And it has a couple things going for it. One, it has a little lever that locks in the tripod holder. Sorry.
It clamps the phone?
It clamps the phone, yeah.
Okay.
I should describe this for people who aren't watching video. It's basically like sort of a very narrow C. And part of it is spring-loaded, so you can put your phone in no matter what phone you have, and then once it's there, you lock it in place. The material, it's like slightly plasticky rubbery, and so that would have helped me to hold my phone because I do not have a case, and therefore that's not good.
Well, and it's not just springs holding it around the phone. There's that clamp there, so
There's
it's
the
locked
clamp.
down once you've got it on there.
Yes, yes, and
That's
that's a
awesome.
huge part. And then it also has three just sort of standard. What is that?
They're
Three
quarter 20. So
quarter 20. What are they? Loop openings?
yeah,
What's the term?
they're quarter 20 threaded little openings, holes that
Okay.
you could thread a tripod. I would actually, if I had one of those, I would actually put a little plate on it. And so you could screw a little Peak Design capture plate or something like that to it that would clamp into your tripod head.
Yes, actually, I did have one on this, and this is the one where I took my plate off of here so that I could connect it to the 100 to 400 millimeter lens that I rented. And then when I sent the lens back, I forgot to take the plate off. So Lens Rentals now has, or Borrow Lenses now has probably another plate that they can throw on the pile that people forget to take off their lenses. Anyway,
If you go to borrowlenses.com, they probably have those for like $4.
Exactly.
You can buy yours back.
I should. So it's the Glyph. It's really handy. I've actually used them for several years. I had one that had like like the older style wasn't as good, but it still held things in place. And this it's just a great design.
That is really cool. I like how it has the quarter 20 holes on all the sides. And so you can choose how the phone is mounted. I actually have a lot of little clamps and things that have the quarter 20 posts on them that you could attach at little tabletop tripods and things like that. So that's really handy. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay with the small, handy tech stuff and show off this little LED light panel. This is an Aperture. And we use this on our trip. It's got a whole bunch of these little light emitting diodes, right? These little lights. And this one actually has an adjustable color temperature, and they make different models of this. And the company is Aperture. I don't know how you say it properly.
Aputure.
Yeah,
Aperture. Yeah.
Aperture, maybe. But you can adjust the brightness of this, but also the color balance. So you can make it warmer or closer to daylight or all the way to daylight. One of the things I really enjoyed about this was when we were out shooting the bristlecone pines on our trip, I kept turning it down as it got darker and darker. I kept turning it down, and I was all the way down to 1%. And this is 1% right now. And it's bright enough that when I shine it at the camera, it actually adjusts the aperture on the camera. Yeah. But it gets pretty bright. And this little thing is tiny, and it's USB-C chargeable. So it's got an internal battery bank that's rechargeable. It's magnetic, so the back has got magnets on it, so you can slap it to anything metal. Ooh. Or anything steel, I should say. And the other thing that's really nice about this is it comes with this diffuser. So it's got this silicone diffuser that just pops onto it and makes it a nice little softbox. And so you can use this as a video light, but like I said, we were using it as a kind of light painting, long exposure, just area light on our trip, and it's super handy, and it doesn't take up much room at all in the camera bag. So if I ever think that I might need a light, I'll just throw this in there. It doesn't take up much room at all. So this is the little Aperture. I'll put the model number because that doesn't say it on here, but one thing I will say is they do have a version of this now that does all different colors, and you can control it with your phone. And so you can make it red or blue or green or whatever. So you can have a lot of fun with these. We'll put them in the show notes. A very cool little idea.
And how much do they run?
About $100, I think.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, they're not bad, and they're super durable. So I see this one. I could beat on this for years. It'd be fine.
Yeah, I have a little portable LED. Actually, like the light. If you're looking on the video in the corner, that's from one, because I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money, but I needed some sort of light, and it's it was like $20 or $30, and it's fine. But it's big and it's chunky, and you have to put batteries on it. And so that's a really good example of something where you're going to spend a little bit more money and get a lot of practical, good, positive things out of it, rather than saying, "Oh, I'm just going to spend $20," and then you get a $20 thing. I mean, this is something that I'm sure we're going to talk about at some point when we start talking about tripods. The whole thing of you can spend, X amount now, which sounds really expensive, or you can buy 5 different tripods and end up spending twice as much. So one of these little aperture things, that's rather appealing.
It's very nice. And I do have cheaper versions that have given up the ghost, right? They've gone out at me at very inopportune times, or they take AA batteries, and it's just a hassle. Having stuff, I've really tried to move towards having all of my devices chargeable by USB-C. That's my goal, and I'm really close. I'm down to just a couple of things. And so I love that. And I do want to echo what you said. I think it's an important message I want to add to it. It's the buy once, cry once sort of saying. It does hurt when you buy stuff that's expensive, or put it on the Christmas list and say, "Hey, I know this is $100, but I really want it."
Yeah.
People kind of like, "Well, I went on Amazon and they had a whole bunch of knockoffs that were $20. Why do you want the $100 ones?" And this is definitely something I would hear from people that love me. And I would say to that, I want to just buy this once. I just want to get this once, and I don't want it to fail on me, and I don't want to waste stuff. I think we spend a lot of time and a lot of money chasing down stuff that isn't dependable and ends up going into the landfill. And frankly, if it's got a battery in it, that's bad. You should not be throwing that stuff away.
Yeah.
And I want to, since we're talking about lights and we're talking about things that are worth extra money, I'm just going to go ahead and add in one more real quick here.
Oh, sure.
This is something
jump ahead of me. That's fine.
I'm staying with the light theme. So this is
Excellent. Okay, go ahead.
Another LED. This is a headlamp. And I am somebody who believes that every photographer needs a headlamp in their bag. You need to have your hands free. You need to have light to work with if you're staying out before or after the sun is up.
Yeah.
And having a really good headlamp is critical. And there are tons of cheap headlamps out there. You can go to Costco and buy a 12-pack probably. But this company I really, really like. They're called BioLite, BIOLITE, again, show notes. They have 3 different powers of headlamps. And what I really like about theirs is they're all rechargeable. And this one has a bigger battery on the back, and it has a little port where you can plug in a USB cord. But they last a long time because they're LEDs. They don't use up the batteries as fast. This one has a very low profile light on the front, and it has a hinge. And so you can aim it down or you can pop it back up. But it is super bright, and it has 2 different styles of light. You can use a spotlight or a floodlight, depending on the type of work you want to do. And it doesn't weigh much. And so it's not this big, heavy thing hanging on the front of your head, which is a hassle. Really believe in these. I've never had a problem. I've got a couple of different kinds of these from BioLite. The smaller one I use every day when I go on my walks in the morning. And it lasts 3 or 4 hours on a charge. This one will last probably 12 hours on a charge. So depending on what you're doing, you may want the bigger, brighter headlamp.
Yeah.
These are awesome. Can't say enough about this company. They're a wonderful little company out of New York called BioLite.
Nice. Well, and to add to that, while we were on our trip, my headlamp that I have, which is a perfectly fine headlamp, but it runs off of 2 AAA batteries. And I realized that I had not replaced my batteries before the trip. And so while we were in Yosemite, I went to go buy AAA batteries, which turned out to be a challenge. The place that I first went to, they didn't have any. And because it was Yosemite, because you have climbers and such, the guy behind the counter, he said, "Oh yeah, if we don't have them down," he pointed to where the display. "If we don't have them there, we don't have them. Everybody buys AAA batteries because they need them for their headlamps." And so I managed to get some, on the next place that we went to. And that was fine. But I mean, I probably got, one of the last sets of AAA batteries, and they're AAA batteries. They get lost and they're annoying, and then you have to recycle them, and all of that clutter that's just annoying. And so being able to have a nice rechargeable one
Mm-hmm.
that you can plug into your, battery bank or hand warmer or
Hand
whatever
warmer.
totally works. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump on there a little bit since we're talking about power, and I'm going to recommend a battery charger. Now, early on, I would buy a whole bunch of batteries, and I still have a bunch of batteries, but once the battery was expired, sorry, camera battery,
Okay.
once it expired, I had to just set it aside and wait until we got back to a hotel room or something so that I could recharge the batteries. And you don't want to run into a situation where you're shooting all day and you don't have any more batteries, because of course that's when the sky is going to be amazing and
Right.
you're going to be standing there with your thumb in your ear trying to figure out how you can make pictures with no battery. So I bought this. It's called a Nightcore FX1 digital USB camera battery charger. This might have a different name depending on the type of battery that your camera uses, but it is a little battery charger. It doesn't have power inside of it, so you plug it into a battery bank or, even a USB plug plugged into the wall. But what's nice about it is it has two slots, so you can do two batteries at the same time, and it's not big and bulky. And it's got a little LED readout that will tell you, LCD readout that gives you the status of the batteries and when they're going to be charged and all that kind of stuff. But it's small and it's handy, and you can just have some batteries charging while you are out shooting or traveling from place to place, and not have that anxiety of, oh man, did I bring enough batteries? And in fact, it turns out on our trip I had bought 2 new batteries, and I pretty much only used them. I didn't have to dig in for some of my older ones that don't have as good of a charge anymore. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I've got one just like that. Little 2-port drop-in, battery charger, and I love it because mine doesn't have an LCD; it's got just lights, and so it's a green light or a red light, depending on how the battery's looking. And what I
Right.
love about it is you can always have one in the charger and use the other battery out of it, and just swap them in and out. And it's really simple. Things that are simple like that are worth their weight in gold, because you're not having to hassle with, does it have a special cord that you need to plug into the wall? Does it have a big old brick with it? That sort of thing.
Right.
Any USB cord that you have in your bag is gonna power that, and I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, I think I don't have a specific thing to point to here, but I've come to believe that having some sort of battery bank is essential now if you're going to be doing anything. And so you can go to Anchor or I don't know, there are a million different companies that, maybe not a million. There are a lot of different companies.
Seems like a million.
Seems like a million that make these. And in fact, when we were on our trip, you had sort of a robust one just to charge your iPad at night. And we had, I think you were also charging your drone batteries at one point. So having some sort of extra battery is super useful. They're easy to find, they're inexpensive, and you won't be like me on a camping trip once where I decided that I needed to charge my laptop, and I just charged it from my car and then depleted my car battery and had to get the car jumped. And after that, I was like, never again.
Yeah, that's a lesson
Yeah.
you learn once. So
Yep.
I will echo this. I think these USB battery banks are, if you're wondering if someone needs one, they do.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a photographer. I use mine to charge my phone and my iPad, like you said, my headlamps, my cameras. And one of the things that I love about our modern mirrorless cameras is almost all of them now are USB-C chargeable. And so
yes.
if you have one of these battery banks in your camera bag and a cord, so I have a spot in my camera bag where I put one of these batteries and I run a cord, and if I need to top off the battery in my camera, I just plug it in inside the bag and zip it up. And while I'm driving or walking or whatever, it's charging that battery, and then It's just unplug it and your camera's ready to go. So having that USB-C or USB, I guess it's any kind of USB
Yeah.
battery bank is just a useful item, even if you're not a photographer. So love
Yeah.
it, love it. So I'm going to move on to I got an itchy eye here. I'm going to take a break for a second.
Okay.
I think I got an eyelash in my eye. I was like, God, that sucks. Gonna be
That
all
does suck.
blinky. All blinky. So, yeah, that's better. We're back. So, Jeff, I think anytime a photographer does anything with their camera gear, they're going to get it a little bit dirty. And so having stuff to clean your camera gear in the field and back at home is always something you need. And if you don't have one of these, this is a Giotto's rocket blower, and it seems like everybody's probably got one, but maybe you need two. I have this big one that I keep at home, this giant rocket blower, but it's really so big that it's not practical to have in the camera bag. So I actually have the small one. It's kind of a little round ball with the same red tube on it that I carry in my camera bag. So these are super cheap. They're like $20 or less, and they're awesome. They're just, everybody needs one of these. And this is to clean off your sensor, blow dust off the front element of your lens, back element of your lens, anything that you need to apply some pressurized air to. When it comes time to clean the camera, like you're back in the hotel room or you're back home, you can use a microfiber cloth and then clean it, and that's totally fine. You can't have enough microfiber cloths. But I've actually found, now that I have glasses, that I use these a lot. These are Kimtech wipes. And they're a special type of tissue. They look just like a normal tissue, right? But they have no lint. There's no fibers that come off of this. And so they're great for cleaning the delicate glass surfaces of our camera lenses, our glasses, things like that. And these are really inexpensive. And I think if you go on Amazon, you can buy like 6 of these boxes for like $20, which seems like a lot for tissues, but these are special tissues. And so I have one of these in my car. I have one here in my office. I don't carry one in my camera bag, but when it comes time to sit down and do a thorough cleaning of my camera gear, I reach for these. I really like them.
Very cool. And that's also really nice because I have, at one point I bought a box of 100 or 200 or whatever lens wipes, which are great, but each one is individually packaged. You use it, it dries out, and you have to throw it away, and you're throwing away the packaging. Mm-hmm. And I just feel kind of guilty every time I use it. Although I have a question that's unrelated to this, that I just have this question. I'm going to throw it out to you. Microfiber cloths, they get smeary and grungy after a while. Mm-hmm. Can you just throw them in the wash?
I do.
Okay.
In fact, I have a little mesh bag that I found. Patagonia sells one called the Guppy Friend. Something like that. I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. But anytime you have small items that need to be run through the wash, but you're worried about them getting, disappeared, a great thing to do is put them in a mesh bag that has a drawstring, and then you throw them in there and they stay out. So I wash my microfiber cloths all the time. I just put them in with my laundry, and I haven't had any problems with that. But because they get oils and things on them, and you're cleaning your lens, you're like, why is it not clean? It's not cleaning anymore. And you definitely don't want to use those microfiber cloths if there's any chance you got any kind of grit on them. You don't want to be rubbing your camera or your lenses with something that's going to scratch. So, going with the Kim wipes or a nice clean microfiber cloth is the way to go.
Excellent. Okay. I kind of thought so, but strangely, I just have these cloths that I just don't use anymore because I didn't know if it was going to mess them up. And, I didn't spring for the $20 Apple polishing cloth that they are now selling that's back ordered until sometime next year.
I didn't either. I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's a microfiber cloth. That's really cool. I've got like 100 of those.
Okay. However, I didn't intend for this to be a nice transition, but it works this way because one of the things that I bought, actually, I had to take my laptop into the Apple store at one point, and if you use any laptop, you get grease from your fingers that are on the keyboard, and some of it transfers to the screen, and it's really annoying. I'm one of those people who I don't want anybody touching my screen, and I don't touch my screen. And yet it still gets kind of grungy anyway, just from normal use. And the Apple genius pulled out this spray stuff and wiped it down just like super quick. I was like, oh my God, what is that? So my next thing is this product called Whoosh. It's WHOOSH with an exclamation point. And it's a screen cleaner. And it's some sort of solvent that is good for screens, and it comes with a nice microfiber cloth. You can get them in little small packages, but I just bought, it's like a 16-ounce spray bottle.
Oh, cool.
And it works amazingly to just get the stuff off your screen and keep it clean. And especially if you are a photographer and you're working on your photos and you're trying to get rid of sensor spots that aren't going away, and you realize, oh no, that's just a thing on my screen. Like, how many times does this happen?
Can't clone out those little spots on your screen, can you?
Exactly. So it's called Whoosh. Again, it's like, $17, $18 for this. Actually, it might even be cheaper than that.
That sounds great.
I think
have
I've
you used it on
15.
your cameras at all? Have you ever tried on your lenses?
I have not, although it says it's best for smartphones, iPads, eyeglasses, e-readers. So
seems like it would work on a lens.
It seems like it would, yeah.
I you know what? Grab your best lens and give it a try, Jeff.
I'll do that. I will grab your best lens. Oh no, you're in a different city. Crap.
I actually am almost out of my spray cleaner, so I'm going to order some of that. Actually, I'll put on my list. I'll put on my Christmas list. That's
there you go. See?
Whoosh,
because everybody wants to give a photographer what is this? It's a screen cleaner?
Yeah. I'm going to put that on my whoosh list.
My whoosh list, yeah.
Oh, bad. So I want to stick with Apple stuff and just mention these. These have nothing to do with photography, but
what is
they're
that?
great if you want to listen to your favorite photography podcast while you're out on a walk, right?
Oh, what would that be?
The AirPods, Jeff.
Which podcast? Which podcast? Photocombobulate.
Photocombobulate, of course.
See, we are so good at this so far that we just completely missed each other's cues.
I just missed each other's cues.
So, Mason, what have you got? Go ahead.
These are AirPods, Jeff.
AirPods.
Mine are the AirPods Pro, which fit in my ears better. The other ones fall out, but I like these. They fit in my ears better. I wear these every day. I go on a walk every morning, and I love these things. I always have them around because several times a day I'm like, I'm just going to listen to some music. I'm going to listen to a podcast, listen to a book. I just love these. And it turns out AirPods are one of the best products Apple's ever done as far as a business, right? As I understand it, these are so popular that if they were their own business, they'd be a Fortune 50 company.
Yeah.
If AirPods were its own business. Isn't that crazy? So the reason that they're really popular is they just work. I have lots and lots of Bluetooth headphones. Every single pair I have, aside from my AirPods, every time I put them in, I have to go into Bluetooth settings. I have to figure out where they are. I have to pair them. I have to get them to work. And then one will work and the other one won't. Drives me crazy, but these always work, and I love it. In fact, they work too well. I'll put them in, and I'll leave my phone on the desk, and I'll walk into the other room, and it'll say, do you want to pair it with your iPad, which is sitting on the table? I'm like, no, So I love these. They're super smart. They're super easy, and they're rechargeable. I can't imagine not having these. So even though they're not photography specific, that's how you get your photography podcast is through your ear holes. So put AirPods in them, huh?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to add a couple things because I also have some AirPods Pro. And, when the AirPods were first announced, my reaction was like, I don't need a wireless thing. Come on. And then I got some and I realized that I was completely wrong, and I use them all the time. And I literally carry them with me everywhere. They're just always in my left front pocket. One nice thing about the AirPods Pro is it has really good noise cancellation. I mean, surprisingly good noise cancellation. So if you are working in an environment that has some white noise, or you're editing photos and the fans in your laptop decide to spin up really, really loud, you don't really hear any of that. So that's really nice. Also, the AirPods Pro and I think the new AirPods 3 that were just recently announced, the case can be charged wirelessly.
Yes.
So the AirPods themselves charge in the case. There's a battery in the case, and then to charge the case, you can either plug in a Lightning port or you can put it on a little QI.
I'm not sure how to say that. Yeah, QI
I think
charger.
it's that one of the little charging pads that will then just charge the case wirelessly. Super great design, and I can't say enough about them. And in fact, I will point out, not necessarily as a gift thing, but this year I broke down and I bought the AirPods Max, which are absurd. They're the over-ear headphones. They're only wireless. They cost like $600, which is absurd, although I think people who are like into high-end over-the-ear headphones were like, yeah, that's like...
Yeah,
that's not too expensive. And to sort of justify to myself, I did get them on sale and I used some Apple credit and all that. But still, I resisted for a long time. But the headphones that I had, actually the headphones that I'm wearing now, are some $50 Bluetooth headphones that are perfectly fine. While we're recording, I have them connected by a cable. But every single time that I connected, I would have to disconnect and then reconnect to get a good connection. Mm-hmm. And with the Apple ones, because they have a specific, I think it's the U1 chip that's built in, because they have this little chip, it just talks to all your devices seamlessly, and literally it just works. It blows me away. And so whenever I think that, I really shouldn't have spent that much money on these headphones, and every single day I put them on and it works, and I have noise cancellation. My wife and I work in the same office area at home, and so I'm typically wearing headphones most of the day. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah, if you're going to be using something hours and hours and hours every day, get good stuff, because you'll save your sanity.
Totally.
Yeah, I wear my AirPods at least 3 or 4 hours a day, and if I'm at my desk, a lot of times I'm wearing my other Bluetooth headphones. I haven't sprung it for the Max ones, but eventually I probably will, because having good headphones and comfortable headphones is so important, because after a while you'll suffer.
Yeah,
all right, let's get back to some photo stuff.
Right.
Did you have something?
I think I just said another something, which was the AirPods Max.
So we'll stick with audio kind of stuff here. Loosely related, right?
Loosely related. Go ahead.
I don't do a lot of video with my camera gear, but I'm starting to do more, and I'm trying to do more. And I love those little, you just held up one, these little Rode Wireless Go microphone set. So it's just a little wireless microphone. But one of the problems I had was it came in this little case, which is adorable, this little Rode case. But everything was sort of just jammed in there. And Shimoda Designs has come up with these little, Jeff's holding up. It's just a little neoprene pouch, right?
It's a little pouch that doesn't quite fit everything that they include, which is really annoying. So go ahead.
Yeah, once you get all the cords and everything, and the little dead cat, little wind protection, it's just jammed in there. And so Shimoda Designs has this new small pouch. I think it's the mini wrap, sorry. It's the mini wrap, and it's perfectly sized for the Rode Wireless Go, but you could use these with any small accessories that you want to keep handy. And it's just Velcro's shut, and it's got a place to put a belt, or you can put on a strap on the side of your camera bag, or I just tuck this in the camera bag. Mm-hmm. But this is a great little pouch. And one of the things I've come to realize, and we'll get into bags here now, Jeff, so stand by.
You know what? That's actually where I was going to go next. So,
where are you going to go next?
Full speed ahead.
What I love about bags, and what I've come to realize about bags, is being able to open something up without having everything spill out on the ground is really nice, and being able to see where everything is. So these have these clear little pockets, and each one of these is a little pocket. It's just brilliant. I have a similar one. I'm just going to go ahead and seg right into this one. It's another Shimoda Designs wrap. This one is for filters. And I use this on our trip, and I just love it. They have a new version out now, but I actually really like this version. This holds 6 filters, and actually this bottom pocket was continuous, and I actually just glued the middle. So now it's got 6 different pockets. But this is where I keep all my filters for my camera. And they're each in their own individual zippered compartment. And it just wraps up, and it slides into the empty space in my bag in between the camera unit and the inside of the bag. And it's padded, it protects them, keeps them organized and clean, and it's got a little hanging loop on it. So when I'm using them on my tripod, I can just hang this there. And it's a hanging desk, if you will, for these things. So this is the Shimoda 3-panel wrap. They have a 4-panel wrap, and they've got this new filter wrap too that they just came out with. So these are great. Really, really, really like these for keeping organized, and they're not that expensive. So great thing to put on the list. If you don't have one, you definitely should think about it.
Yes, definitely. So I'm going to transition here, but I don't have anything specific. I'm just going to throw out a need, which is something that I realized when we were on our trip. Like you said, being able to open something and not have everything spill out. Because I have lots of different bags that I've gotten over the years, and they have like 2 big pockets, and you throw everything in, and you're always rummaging around. So that's important. But I also realized the importance of being able to know exactly where something is, so you can reach in and not have to even look for it. Mm-hmm. So you can grab a bag, and you know that when I open this bag in the right zippered pocket, I'm going to find my filter or my extra battery or my extra SD cards. And I haven't quite found a good solution to this, but I am now a convert to the go ahead and get little bags that you can use for organizing things. And you seem to be really on top of this.
Yeah.
You have really good bags for all sorts of things. So perhaps I can just throw this back to you and see if you have any recommendations on things to look for, because there are lots of things out there, but what you just showed is a great example of I know that I'm going to grab this thing, and I'm going to grab my remote, and there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that it took me a long time to learn when it comes to camera bags, and I think I finally learned it, is that I can't get by with just one camera bag, because it might work for some situations, but it's not going to work for others. And so what I've found is I keep all my camera gear now in this closet behind me. And depending on what I'm going to be doing. So for instance, I'm heading out of town this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and bring some camera gear with me, but I'm not bringing everything. It's not like our trip where we went and I brought everything in the car. This is going to be a trip where I might go out and do some landscape photography. So I'll bring a tripod, and I'll bring one of my Shimoda Designs backpacks, camera bag backpacks. But because I'm sort of not married to one bag, I don't want to just keep all my accessories in one bag, because then if I want to use a different bag, I've got to pull everything out. So I use these wraps. And so I've got a 4-panel version of this where I keep all of my accessories, my extra batteries, my remotes, camera cleaning stuff, notebook, pens, all of these things, little lights, headlamps, all of this lives in one of these bags. And then when it comes time to head out somewhere, I can open it up and I can be like, oh, I want to take that out and I want to take that out. And I put those in the pockets of whichever bag I decide to use. Now, I do think that as a photographer, we both use the Shimoda Designs Explorer backpacks. Mm-hmm. So you have the 30-liter version. I have a 35-liter version that's my main bag. But I also have the 25-liter version, which would be great if I'm just heading out for a weekend, like this weekend. But sometimes that's too much. If I just want to bring one camera and maybe 2 lenses and an extra battery, I'm going to use a sling bag. And sometimes if I'm in an urban environment, and I want to have it on my front. I'm going to be in a crowd of people. I don't want to be wearing my backpack. If I'm in a museum or someplace like that, the last thing you want to do is carry a backpack in because they're going to be like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to put that in the locker. You can't just walk around in here with that giant backpack on. But having a little sling bag is wonderful. And so this is the Peak Design Everyday Sling. This is the 6-liter. And I think this is the sweet spot. This is a really good size for most mirrorless cameras and a couple of extra lenses. They have a 3-liter version, which is really small. So if you have a small mirrorless camera like a little Panasonic or an Olympus or one of the little Fujis, you could drop that in there with a couple extra lenses in the 3-liter and it would be fine. But the 6-liter will hold a fairly decent sized camera. Like I use the Sony A7 series. I can fit that in there with two or three lenses in this 6-liter bag. I also have the big one, which is the 10-liter, and that will actually hold my big iPad, and it will hold my long lens, my 100 to 400 millimeter lens.
Wow.
It's kind of a monstrous bag, and it's a little big to carry all day, but the 6-liter, I could carry this all day. And it can go on my back or on my front or on my side. Some people probably even be able to pull it off as a fanny pack, but I don't think that I could do that. I don't have that kind of style. But I do love these bags. I think they're really utilitarian. So this is at the top of my list for people. If you don't have a sling bag to be sort of that extra little camera bag that you oftentimes need if you're just going out for a day, that's something you put on your list. And all of these are right around $100 or less at Peak Design. So really wonderful bags. So I want to finish that question, though, that you had about keeping things organized. I do like little bags, little pouches to put things in. And I think the Shimoda Design, that little pouch is great. Peak Design has some field pouches, which are really nice and padded, and they have lots of little compartments in them, little organizers. A lot of those tend to be a little bulky for what we're doing. You just need something really, really small. And so I think what works really, really well is going to a place like REI and getting these little zippered pouches. They're not padded. They're just a fabric pouch. Maybe they're water resistant. It just has a single zipper on it. Just a little ditty bag to throw things in. And a lot of times that's all you need. You're just going to carry an extra battery and maybe 2 SD cards and a couple lens wipes. You just drop them in there, toss them in your bag. It's a lot better than throwing things loose into your bags, which gets to be a mess.
Yeah. Whew, bags.
Yeah, bags.
If only we had like maybe an episode, or no, if only we had enough material to talk about bags for a future episode.
Stay tuned. We gotta have a camera bag episode eventually.
I've seen your bag dungeon. I know
bag dungeon.
you have a bag problem.
I do have a bag problem.
Yeah,
I love camera bags, and I love being organized. I find that it's directly tied to my sanity, being able to find things. I feel like a big chunk of my life is spent looking for stuff, but let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
Want to talk
let's
about
wrap up with that. Yeah.
Let's be organized. Even if you're not a photographer, this is a useful item to have if you're a digital person, right? If you're somebody who uses a computer, maybe you go to a coffee shop with your laptop and you want to work. Getting one of these little tech bags, they're called, is really important. And I've got several of different kinds of tech bags. In fact, most of them are empty down in my camera bag dungeon. But this one is special. This is from a really wonderful company called Evergoods. And I turned you onto this bag, and you got one yourself, I know.
Yeah, I love it.
This is the Evergoods Civic. It's a pouch, Civic pouch. And Civic Access pouch, 2 liters. And what's amazing about this bag is it's got this special zipper, and it opens like this, and it sits, I don't know if you can see this, it sits on a table like this, and you can work out of it. It's got all these kinds of pockets and zippered areas, and it's super, super organized and very thoughtful.
Okay, so let me just describe what's going on here for people who aren't watching this. It zippers in a sort of triangular way rather than just on the top or straight open on the top. And so when you open it, that pouch comes out as its own little triangle and sits flat. And then you have this sort of angled wedge is what the bag turns into, which exposes all the stuff in the larger compartment, and then the small triangle is its own sealed little pouch that you can put sort of most frequently used items. That's what I do, like my camera remote and things like that. And that also has an access on the outside, on the other side, so you don't have to undo the whole thing. You can just reach in and grab. It's a great design. I love it.
Yeah, it's a really inspired design, and it's so well made. The materials on it and everything are just incredible. I want to talk about the inside a little bit, because I have like Peak Designs Tech Pouch, and boy, there's 1,000 of them out there, and they all have this sort of slash pockets and zippered pockets and expandable pockets, and they all tend to be this very complicated array. What they did with this pouch, with the Civic Access pouch, is they have a center divider that's zippered. And so you could put small items in the zippered compartment. And inside that zippered compartment are a couple of little pockets. So you could put things like SD cards, that sort of thing in there. Yeah, if you're watching the video, Jeff's holding up his, which is packed full of stuff. And so that floating divider, depending on how you want to arrange the inside, can move front to back. And so you could have really big items. You could actually put your headphones in here. You could put your hard drives, things like that in here. I've got on the pockets on the back, I've got tools on one side, like a Leatherman and a lighter and little screwdriver bits and things like that. And then on the other side, it's sort of things like chapstick and eye drops and things like that. So that's how I keep everything organized. And then in that top part that Jeff was talking about, that's accessible from the outside or the inside, that's where I keep all my pens and my Apple Pencil and things like that in there. So I have one of these for my computer stuff, sort of non-photography things. And then I have one that's all photography kind of cleaning gear. So if I go on a big trip, the photography cleaning gear has stuff I can use to clean my sensor. It's got brushes and wipes and extra pieces and parts and screws and batteries and things for my remotes and camera gear, and even to do tripod maintenance. It's got all that stuff in there. So it's sort of my photo toolkit. But then this one that I've been showing on this video is my computer stuff. Now, another thing I love about it is it's got pockets on the front, slash pockets, which are perfect for microfiber cloths or business cards, things like that. Mm-hmm. And it sits on the desk. It sits perfectly upright, whether it's unzipped or not. And once you open it up, you can be sitting in a coffee shop and not have stuff strewn across the table. You have it all organized in your little pouch. And when it's time to go, you just zip it up and throw it in your bag.
And there's even a little grab strap at the bottom if you need to just like grab it, sort of like a suitcase type of thing.
Yeah, it's got handles on both sides. Just lovely. I've got the Signal Blue color, which was a limited edition. Evergoods is a very small company in Bozeman, Montana, and they have a few backpacks that they do, and then they have this pouch. And every now and then they'll put out a special edition, and so I got this in blue, which I just love. I think it's just an awesome color. You've got the really cool black one too, which is really nice.
Nice.
So that's probably enough on bags for now. I think that we could definitely do a whole episode at some point on camera bags.
Oh, we will, definitely.
I think there's one more thing that always needs to be on the holiday wish list for photographers.
I was going to say, because I've run out of things on my list, and if you say lens cup, after all, I'm going to reach through and punch you in the face.
No, don't. So, you don't need to punch me in the face.
Oh, okay. But what have you got?
I would highly suggest.
I forgot.
A really good photo book. This is the Photographer's Guide to Luminar AI. And if you're a Luminar 4 user, there's also the Photographer's Guide to Luminar 4 by a guy named Jeff Carlson. And I found this book to be really the definitive guide to a pretty complicated suite of software that a lot of us use. And so if you want to support Jeff and buy one of his latest books, definitely look at Rocky Nook, the Photographer's Guide to Luminar AI. And you can get that on Rocky Nook's website or through Amazon, right?
Yes, exactly. And if you go to my website, jeffcarlson.com, I believe if you buy it from me, I have a code that will get you some percentage off.
Nice. So check out jeffcarlson.com. You have some other books on the way, but that's really the latest and greatest for this holiday season, right?
That's the latest and greatest when it comes to camera stuff. I just released a book, Take Control of Your Apple Watch, which is an ebook that has nothing to do with photography, but I write about all sorts of things. So yeah,
that's great. Other books that I have grabbed this year that I really enjoyed that are photography related. I have a book by Chris Orwig on creativity, which I'll put in the show notes, that I think is really great. He's a wonderful photographer out of California. I'm also a fan of Gordon Lang. He's a friend of the show and a friend of ours. He's got a great book on getting it right in camera, sort of shooting for JPEGs, and that's not something I typically do, but I really enjoyed his approach in that book, and so I would suggest that book, and I'll put that in the show notes. And then the last one I would suggest is one that I stumbled across when I was getting ready for our trip, and it's a book by Galen Rowell, who's passed away years ago. But he has a book on outdoor photography that I kind of dove back into because he shoots a lot in the Sierra Nevada. So I'll put that in the show notes. I don't remember the full title of it, but I really enjoyed looking through that again. And it reminded me just how great he was as a photographer and as a writer. So I would definitely recommend that. How about you, Jeff? Do you have any books that you would throw in the list?
So, yes, I was just looking it up because I didn't have it right here. So just now published, I mean, literally in the last couple of weeks, I think, is a book by Joe McNally.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, how could I forget that one?
Because you had some other great ones.
Yeah.
And why don't they have it on here?
It's on Rock. I know Jeff knows this, but I'm just going to say it while he looks
No,
it up.
Go ahead, because
it's on Rocky
I'm looking
Nook,
at the site.
And you can get the electronic version now. In fact, I read it. It's a wonderful book. I really love it. It's one of the few photo books I've actually read cover to cover, which says a lot. Joe McNally is one of our heroes, one of our favorite photographers. Jeff and I both have gone to workshops with him. He's just a fabulous guy. And this is sort of his life story. And he has obviously lots of great photos in the book. But for me, the part that was really enjoyable, because I've seen most of the photos before, was hearing the stories behind his approach and his, kind of his path to where he is today. He's definitely a unique guy, and he's a treasure. And I really enjoyed that book. And I can't remember the name of it either.
It is called The Real Deal.
The Real Deal.
The Real Deal. Hang on, there's a sub. The Real Deal: Field Notes from the Life of a Working Photographer. And it's great.
The book is better than the title, I will say.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say that I know you can get the electronic version now, but I'm not sure if the paper version is going to be available before the holidays, thanks to our global shortages.
Think so, or if so, it's going to be pretty close. Estimated ship date is January 25th.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that's going to be the case with a whole lot of different things, and it's why we are jumping on this fairly early to talk about different gift ideas. The other book that I really like is called The Practicing Photographer.
That's right.
I think I have that wrong. Wait a minute. Yes, okay. So another book that I really like is called The Practicing Photographer, which is by Ben Long, who is an amazing educator and photographer. And this is a book that it's essays on developing your photographic practice. And it literally is essays. There are actually no photos in the book, but it's a great book on making you think about what your photography is and working through ruts and just a whole lot of good practical information that and if you've read anything by Ben or watched any of his YouTube videos, or he does a lot with lynda.com, which is now LinkedIn Learning, first of all, he has one of the most amazing voices in the world, and second of all, he's just he's the real deal. Oh, wait a minute. That was Joe McNally's. He's
The other real deal.
the other real deal. He's just warm and inviting, and you just want to hear him talk about pretty much anything he wants to for as long as he wants to. So yeah, the practicing photographer, and one last book that I would say that's on my bookshelf here that I just love and revisit occasionally is a book by Greg Heisler, 50 Portraits.
I have that one too. I love that book.
And it's not only a whole bunch of really good portraits, it's a lot of famous people that you know, but it tells how he got the shot. And I just love stories in this vein because quite often he's dealing with a celebrity or a politician or the president of the United States, and he has 4 minutes to make an amazing shot, and how you do that. And so just that peek into working at that level is just a great insight.
Yeah,
so
he's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one more book because I will say
Okay.
this. I want to say this about these books. I don't know about the Heisler one. Seems like he's doing okay on his own. But
Yes.
all of these books are by writers who just, like you, Jeff, who work their butts off to make these books happen. And they're not ghostwritten. They're not, they're not thrown together on a whim. That takes hours and hours and days and weeks and weeks of work to put these together. And every issue that's sold means something to that photographer, to that writer.
Yeah.
And so I think that these books are possibly some of the best gifts that we could get or give this holiday, because not only are you going to get something great out of it, but the person who made it is going to get that reward of selling something, which is better than buying something off of Amazon from some major corporation somewhere. That said, I do want to add one more book that I got this year that I the more I look at it, the more I'm just wowed by it. And the quality of the book, the amount of work in it, the sheer volume of this book is incredible. And that's Don Komarechka's macro photography book.
Oh, right.
And I think you can get it on Amazon. Now, Don has moved to Bulgaria. I don't know if you know this, Jeff. Don
I did, yeah.
moved to Bulgaria and can't sell these books out of his house for the foreseeable future. And so if you can find one on Amazon, I would grab it. It is amazing. It is amazing. It is a book that even if you're not interested in macro photography, you just want to look at some amazing photos and learn the science and the practice of making these interesting photos. It's a great book. It's a fabulous book. And Don worked really, really hard on it. In fact, knowing Don, I would say that he probably worked so hard on it that he might make 30 cents an hour on these books when all is said and done, because there's a tremendous amount of effort in that book.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So this is Macro Photography, The Universe at Our Feet, although I'm only seeing the Kindle edition on Amazon, so it might be hard to get. But there are other places to find books. Yeah, pretty.
That's
pretty
one if you can find
stuff.
the hard version. The physical version is special. It's really amazing. All right,
Nice. So I think that'll get us through one holiday season. What do you think?
I think we did pretty well. Hopefully everybody's got a list made. We're going to, like I said before, and we said it several times, go visit our show notes at photocombobulate.com, and you'll find links to all of these things. Some of these links are going to be affiliate links, which will help us out. Some of them will just be straight up links. If you don't know what an affiliate link is, it doesn't change the price. It doesn't change what you pay. It just kicks a little bit towards us. So we'll have all of those items in the show notes and even some photos of some of the stuff. And then we would love it if you came to photocombobulate.com. I'm not sure where my picture went.
Yeah, I just lost your screen.
I think my battery ran out.
Okay.
We would love it if you came to photocombobulate.com and subscribe to our bi-weekly newsletter. So all this will do is tell you when the next episode is fresh. So go ahead and sign up for that, and that will pop up when you go to photocombobulate.com. And check us out on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere you want to find those things. You'll find them if you search for Photocombobulate.
And also, I'm going to throw in, what did we miss? What sort of things do you like or want for the holidays, or are giving for the holidays? We would love to expand our knowledge and share with the greater Photocombobulate community. So either drop us a line in via Instagram or Twitter. We're both on Twitter, or you can email us directly. All that information is at the photocombobulate.com website, because we want to know other things too, because we're going to get to the point here in a few days or weeks when I need to figure out what the heck can I get Mason for Christmas.
I'm easy. Just get me more books now.
Perfect. All right. Send you some coffee, buddy.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode, and make sure you get those lists out to your loved ones so they can order things early. It's hard to get things this year, so
yep.
Early is better.
All right. Thanks, everybody.